Yeah. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. You are welcome to today's webinar. And we want to congratulate all our potential PIs that have been selected for a full proposal. It is not an easy task considering the huge number of proposals submitted. So we thank God for this chance, and we don't want to blow it. That's the essence of this workshop. There are tips. Some our resource persons have gone through this before. They have great ideas that can help us. The platform that has been created will be kept very active so that whatever questions we have, we will all share knowledge. We don't have the same topic, so there is no competition. I need to stress that we don't have the same topic. The goal here is to make OAU shine. The first time I think we had 3, but in recent times we've had 20, 20, 20. This year, if we can even get more than 20, it will be to our credit. I understand that they limited the number, not because we don't have good proposals, but because this thing must spread to other institutions. So we need to keep that record flying, and the way to go is what we are doing. It's been said that the full proposal should be submitted to the TED office latest by tomorrow to enable the reviewers do a good assessment that will facilitate great success. I would like to stop here, thanking you for joining on time and welcoming you. I would like to invite our Vice Chancellor, Professor Bamire. We congratulate you, sir, on your success and also successful inauguration. We join all staff of OAU to wish you a successful tenure. Sir, please kindly address the participants. Thank you, sir. Professor Bamire. Hosseini, are you sure he's online?
Oh, I can't find the icon. Let's see.
I have not seen his name.
Okay.
Okay, I think we should just go on. While is Professor Olugbade online, please?
Very well.
Professor Olugbade, thank you,
yes,
sir.
please. Yes.
Please, you can start. I will try and contact the VC while you're speaking. Okay. After your presentation, he will make the remarks. So please, 10 minutes to you. Your time starts now.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Gabriel, please enable Professor Olugbade to share his screen. I'm assuming you have a screen to share, sir.
Yes.
Okay.
I need to be enabled.
Gabriel, let me call Gabriel. He's supposed to be
online. You can share screen now. You can share screen now.
Okay, thanks, Gabriel. Prof, you can share your screen.
Thank you. Yes, thank you very much. Well, briefly, the content of this material is extensively based on the material prepared by Professor Katampe on behalf of TED. I need to acknowledge that so that we don't have problem about proprietary or plagiarism as it were. Okay. Thank you very much. Now, I would like to join the facilitator, Professor Mrs. Kende, Professor Mrs. Kende Taiwo, sorry, to congratulate us for scaling the first hurdle and to appreciate that the next step is still competitive and the full proposal deserves a serious attention to merit final selection. Because of budget constraints, group proposals may have to be rejected, not to talk of non-compliant or poorly written ones. I think we should bear that in mind. Now, I'm deliberately recalling the last slide I presented when we were having the seminar at the level of concept note. And the last slide, I want to pay attention especially to that bullet because it's going to haunt us now if we didn't do it. Start by preparing a draft full proposal, employing logic model to address the problem identified. This was well intended at the time it was meant that I can't see anybody doing a good job of a concept note without having a draft full proposal. Otherwise, you will have very many issues to contend with later. So let's assume that that was done, and then we go ahead. I recognize that applicants have the benefit of the guideline and this current template, which are available on TEDFund site, and courtesy of Professor Hosseini has also been provided by Center of Research and TEDFund. So it is envisaged that diligent compliance with format, signatures, limit on words, etc. should not be any problem. And therefore, I will avoid unnecessary repetition in this presentation. But for emphasis, non-compliance with these issues will be a costly mistake. Now, I'm bringing it up deliberately. It's actually controversial, but it's arising from our previous experience as part of the TEDFund review team in the past, where you have a problem reconciling the title that was submitted for concept note with the actual content that came out. But then there is always an issue that it's a risk trying to tinker with the title. And that one is that the initial approval of concept notes is strongly associated with the specific title submitted, the research project category and thematic review area, as well as the relationship with national priority. So as much as possible, the title should remain sacrosanct. I can give us a hypothetical example. Can you imagine somebody saying, I want to develop this herb as anti-COVID drug. And then in the final content, because of events that people have overtaken it, you now want to change it to antiviral. You may say they are the same, but I can tell you that given the experience that we went through, the word COVID was itself catching enough, and that may have been the only reason why that topic attracted attention. So changing it to anything else, even when viral subsumes COVID, may be an unnecessary risk. A second one is about tinkering with the budget sum. I remember that when uploading the budget at the concept note, we uploaded the full budget sum. Now, we should bear in mind that even at the concept note stage, there was a lot of arithmetic done to make sure that TEDFund was within its own budget for the year. And therefore, any unnecessary adjustment of budget may just be a costly mistake. Of course, I recognize that so many things have happened since we prepared the concept note, inflation, forex factors, but it may be advisable to revise quantities appropriately, but without altering the proposed budget sum. Of course, TEDFund will be glad for additional sources of funding the research. We should note, if we had read the guideline properly, that even including an additional source of fund, we attract 5 extra marks. So we still go on common mistakes and still on budget. So note that all the green bullets, sorry, all the blue bullets and red bullets are violations. Anything outside the limit of NRF project under 2 million is for institutional based research. Anything outside 50 million will not be granted. And then exceeding limit on specific headings, equipment, personnel, dissemination, and travels will necessarily attract rejection. And then still on budget, skimping, that is not budgeting realistically, under costing, just to meet the deadline, just to meet the limit, will also be a costly mistake. and that can be a reason for rejection. Of course, padding is always obvious, and padding will be a good. So the other was, don't forget that we are supposed to support our budget with justification. So each heading should be justified, and there should be no unnecessary skipping, and there should be no padding. And still on budget, I would like to call attention to a quotation from the guideline itself. I know that affects some of us, especially those of us in sciences and technology, where we need equipment, very, very expensive equipment. Remember that Pitfalls is claiming that requests for equipment in excess of the stipulated amount, 25% of the expected total contribution to Pitfalls, may be interpreted as a lack of institutional research infrastructural capacity to execute the proposed research project. In fact, I wish the Vice Chancellor were online at this stage, but when it comes, I will call his attention because he is the only one that can help us. There are many equipment items that are required that are totally outside the 50 million budget for individual research. And I think I would like to plead with the Vice Chancellor to make sure that he takes care of all this through equipment acquisition, central and departmental acquisition using the TED fund capital grants for all that, because there are equipment items that we need, but they are totally outside the budget of the NRF research. Now, these are related to the research problem addressed in the proposal. The problem, if the problem is not sufficient, of sufficient importance, or is unlikely to produce any new or useful information, if the problem is more complex than the investigator appears to realize, if the problem is scientifically premature, and warrants at most only a pilot study, if the research as proposed is overly involved with too many elements under simultaneous investigation, then the description of the nature of the research and of its significance leaves the proposal nebulous and diffuse and without a clear research aim. These are these costly mistakes for which a proposal can be rejected and that are based on research problems. The ones that are related to proposed approach to solving the problem. The description of the approach is too diffuse and lacking in clarity to permit adequate evaluation. The overall design of the study has not been carefully thought out. Don't forget that these are evaluated by experts, so it's not difficult to pick. The statistical aspects of the approach have not been given sufficient consideration. Controls are either inadequately conceived or inadequately described. The equipment contemplated is outmoded or otherwise unsuitable. Then there are also mistakes that are related to the principal investigator. If it is obvious from all the submissions that the investigator does not have adequate experience or training for the proposed research, or appears to be unfamiliar with recent pertinent literature or methods, or his previously published work in this field does not inspire confidence, or proposes to rely too heavily on insufficiently experienced associates. So, in other words, this is cautioning us. So it's not a question of bringing up friends, bringing up groups. We have to assemble a team that have specific contribution to make. Then spreading self too thin on many projects or carrying too heavy load of administrative duties to have sufficient time for successful implementation. Or need small licenses with colleagues in this field or in collateral fields. This is emphasizing the multidisciplinary advice that as much as possible, when there are people outside our field that have specific values to add, we should not shy away from using them. Then the reviewers, over the years, they always submit their experience to the TED fund office. And this is a compilation of some of them that have been accepted as the major reasons for the failure of most of the rejected research proposals. One, research scope is too broad and unfocused, and there is a disconnect between title and content. There is little originality in research ideas and content. There is low value addition profile.
Hello, Prof.
Yes, please.
You have 2 more minutes, sir.
Yes, yes. And
Thank
content not strikingly new. Then there is poorly written executive summary and poorly stated research objectives, unsatisfactory methodology to address set goals, or choice of mundane or not up-to-date methods, inadequate or shallow research content, and outrageous budgeting attempt to make it close to the limit. Well, I think I'm within time. Thank you for the opportunity. Yes.
Thank you very much. We are very grateful for keeping to time. Thank you, sir. I wish we could clap. Now, Professor Adeshino is online, so we will quickly take a few comments from him, and I'm hoping the VC will join us shortly. Professor Adeshino, sir. Professor Adeshino. I saw him online earlier.
Yes, good morning, Prof. Good morning, colleagues.
Welcoming remarks, quickly.
I'd like to welcome you to this very important interaction. And apologies for some little delays here and there. Thank you, Prof, for the presentation, and we're looking forward to the remaining presentation. Please feel free to take good notes and ask questions. I believe that at the end of this series of presentation, there will be opportunity to ask questions about the proposal you are putting together. Please ask the question. The whole idea is to ensure that everybody has the support that is required to make it possible for them to submit very good proposal. And we wish you well in the process. Thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you, Professor Adeshino. Dear participants, kindly note your questions, please. We will ask at the end. That means, Professor Olugbade, you are not yet off. All questions will be taken at the end. Thank you.
Yes.
I can see Professor Obilade online. Madam, you are welcome. Please kindly give a few introductory remarks.
Thank you very much, and I want to appreciate the Third Fund Office and the Central Office of Research for putting this together, and to congratulate those who have scaled through the first hurdle. It is not yet over until it is over. I want to let all of us realize that we have to work together as we are doing, and that, as Professor Adeshino said, we got your back. We are available to advise you. We are available to assist you. We are available to provide the necessary information. And if there is any itch at any level, please let us know on time. We are going to be facing a lot of stiff competition. And that's why, as a university, we put our acts together and we ensure that we put our best foot forward, because people now see OAU as a university to beat. And with success comes a lot of other issues that we have to take on board. So please, as you go along, we wish you all the very best. We are here for you. You can contact any of us, and we will definitely attend to your issues. Thank you very much. Thank you, Professor Kehinde. I wish everybody all the best.
Thank you, Madam. I'm clapping on behalf of everybody. I want to say thank you. That's a powerful speech. Our Vice Chancellor is online, and we have welcomed you in absentia. I'll welcome you again, sir, and congratulate you again on your successful inauguration. And apologies again for the inadequate communication, but I'm glad you have been able to make it. The DPC just called me. She's out of town, but she's online. She's online with Professor Aderomu, and she has promised to stay till the end. So we have a full team on board. Professor Bamiresa, please kindly make your remarks.
Thank you very much. Thanks for your coordination. Thanks for everything that you've been doing before now and that which you are doing right away. I want to thank everyone for coming on board. and for scaling through to this particular level. My appreciations first to the TED Fund Office and the Center Office of Research for coordinating this particular workshop. I want to thank all the resource persons therein. I want to also apologize for not being able to join early enough. It's because I have series of meetings that are already slated before now. But I thank God that I'm able to make it after being called some time ago. Well, the main thing is that I want to congratulate once again everyone for the level at which we've gotten to. And I believe that listening to the resource persons, particularly I paid attention to what towards the last end of Professor Olugbade's presentation, that all what he was saying are things that we are supposed to abide to strictly. And by the time we do that, we'll be able to get through to the large scale and finally scale through. I know I learned of the number of our staff that have been able to go through to the to scale through. About 30 I learned. And I pray fervently that all will scale through finally in Jesus' name. Amen. I'm very much confident that with the resource persons and the coordination framework that we already have, we are sure to continue to lead in this race. So I wish all of us all the best and wish the coordinators all the best, even as they continue to count their successes over time with respect to this particular project. Thank you very much and have a very nice time. All the best.
Thank you, sir. That was a very beautiful one, very encouraging. We just wish that you will monetize your encouragement so that
no problem.
The muscle power will continue. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Don't mind me. We now ask Professor Akinola. Madam. Professor Akinola.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning. Gabriel, please, can you enable her share her slides? Gabriel.
I think while we're waiting, I think Professor Olubade wanted to ask the Vice Chancellor something.
Okay,
could you do that while we're waiting?
Please go on.
Yes. Thank you very much for the indulgence. Actually, when I joined others to congratulate the Vice Chancellor on assuming office, I just made a plea, sir, that for most of us in sciences and technology, that includes health sciences anyway, a number of equipment demanded for the project are outside the budget limits of NRF fund, which is supposed to be no more than 25% of 50 million at most. And that the only way the Vice Chancellor can assist us is to invest heavily on acquisition of equipment at central and at departmental level, so that we have equipment to use. Because I always feel bad when we see IBR applications as well as NRF applications targeting to use and pay for equipment outside the university system. So I'm just pleading that the Vice Chancellor takes advantage of the capital grants to the university from the TED Fund to re-energize equipment acquisition and maintenance. Thank you.
VC, sir, would you want to respond or we go ahead?
Yeah, let me quickly respond to that. And that has to do with what we've been thinking about. You know, before the end of every year, each department, faculty, and units are supposed to bring up the needs, their needs, in such a way that estimated and then the various designs that we need, the specifications that we need, so that we'll be able to compile this before the funds that is always allocated with this, in this respect comes up. Most of these funds come maybe around October, November. And if we are not careful, by the end of December, they want to mop it up. So the best thing is we'll put a paper out, definitely, to ensure that departments, units, faculties bring up their needs, their requirements in terms of equipment, in terms of whatever, material needs and all those, so that we'll be able to compile this and be able to fix them in the allocation, and that will help a lot. So I'm assuring you, by God's grace, we will go through all the needs framework and see to what extent the university will be able to help along this line. So thank you very much. That's what I just have to say with respect to that. I want to thank Professor Olugbade. I know you know everything about this, and I think we'll work hand in hand to ensure that all that is needed to ensure that we keep within the framework of this research components of the three elements of what we are meant to do in academics in the university. We'll keep within that framework by God's grace. So please, I want to assure you that you have all my cooperation in getting all what is required by God's grace. But you pray along as we continue to enhance the IGR base of the university in all areas. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. That's a good promise, and we promise to play our own part too, because if you call and we don't respond, that we will not move forward. And I'm here glad the participants are hearing. We are from all over the university. When there's a request for information, people don't answer on time. I'm even suggesting we don't have to wait till December. That request can go out now. Let people come up with a list of equipment that we need. And the cost, yes. We may find other donors. It's not only TED fund or needs assessment. So thank you, sir. Mrs. Akinola is already sharing her screen. Madam, you are welcome. Please enlarge your screen so that we can see it better.
I have done so. I'm on
so this is the maximum
now.
We have. Okay, thank you. You have 10 minutes.
Okay, thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. May I stand on the existing protocol? I've been asked to talk about the critical guidance in drafting the TED Fund proposals in health science thematic areas. Professor Olugbade has done a very good job before me, so there'll be overlapping, but the overlapping is meant to ensure emphasis. So I'd like to congratulate all PIs who have been given the privilege to write full proposals at this stage. And my outline is on this screen here, and you'll see that it's the titles or the headings that are expected of you to fill in as per the TED Fund form, the application form. I have highlighted some headings in green or olive to emphasize the importance of these titles or headings. The title that you presented for your concept note should more or less remain the same. It shouldn't change because in changing your title, it suggests that you are not quite clear about what you were doing in the first place. And as Professor Olugbade said, you should have had your full proposal ready even before you wrote your concept notes. So we will take it from there that the objectives and statement of research problem, the project impact, the project activities and outputs, the team that are going to work together on this, the project and project justification are very essential. You must pay particular attention to these. Now, what are reviewers looking out for? Professor Olugbade has mentioned some of them. Bottom line is that they must see that your proposal has potential to add to knowledge. That is, it has intellectual merit and it has impact in your field, in the community, even at the government level, if possible. And they will ask questions like this: how specific and effective are your methods in terms of your study design? Are the activities measurable, reliable, reproducible? Are there evaluation strategies, that is, indicators, are they in place? Are there qualified personnel on the study? Are the resources adequate to conduct the project? So the specific aims and objectives and methodology, as I said, is something that we must emphasize when it comes to health science projects. And we say that the specific objectives will drive the methodology. That is your activities, your output, and your evaluation strategies. So they must be SMART. Now, they must be clearly articulated, and we should mind our grammar, because sometimes in the process of reviewing proposals, you find that there are grammatical errors. So try and get your full proposal edited before you send them off. In health sciences, you have various types of study designs. That is, whether it's cross-sectional or longitudinal or interventional. TETFund prefers longitudinal interventional studies, that is multi-center studies. Cross-sectionals tend to add to knowledge, yes, but in terms of the impact, it might be limited. So consider, obviously you already have your proposal in hand. Consider finding a way of, enlarging your scope sufficiently, but don't over enlarge it to emphasize the multidisciplinary, multi-center approach. Also include definitions of terms, because not everybody understands this medical jargon that we use. So you find that this will help the reviewers understand what you have written better. In the methodology, the calculation of sample size is also very important. Use the appropriate equation, because the equation for cross-sectional studies is different from longitudinal and interventional studies. So please pay attention to this. Now, the selection criteria is also very, very important for us in health sciences and in sciences generally. And where we need to have controls, we need to include the inclusions and exclusion criteria clearly stated so that there's no ambiguity. So your definition of terms also helps here also to define certain situations. And your data collection should show that you have applied quality control measures to your equipment and your tests. And the analysis, it is the statistical tools that you're going to use for analysis must be clearly stated and be relevant. Now the budget, which is the big thing, everybody talks about budget. Now it must be detailed. And don't forget, if you're buying new equipment, even if you're using existing equipment, to include the cost of consumables and reagents and storage, because a lot of times people put up budgets that are deficient in these areas. And this slide shows the quadruple constraints that are often associated with proposals and studies. And you will have expectations at the end for our studies. And you find that budget is uppermost on here. So you need to manage your budget critically and
for all your efforts. What's the problem?
Is Prof logged off?
I don't know. Maybe I'll call her.
Oh, yeah.
Gabriel, are you on?
Always presence for your candidates. For the hard work at the background.
Mrs. Akinola is not picking her call. Do we give her a minute more or we go on to another presentation? And then she can come to complete what she has. Professor Adeshino.
Hello, Prof.
Yes.
We can have the next presenter, please, and then
Okay.
ask Prof to come back.
Okay, because I'm trying to reach her, but I'm not getting through.
Let's take the next presenter.
The next presentation will be from
you.
Professor Aderomu. Professor Aderomu, I know he was online. I hope he's still, we are now 75. Yes, Professor Aderomu is online. Professor Aderomu.
Good morning, ma.
Yes, good morning, sir. Thank you.
I'm online with the TVC academic.
Yes, she has told me that. Thank you. We have lost Miss Professor Akinola. I called, but she didn't pick. So we want to maximize our time. So kindly start, Gabriel. Okay, Professor Aderomu, you are co-host, so you should be able to share. Can you kindly share your slides? That's what I read here. Anyway, Gabriel. Yes, so agbára pọ̀. Agbára pọ̀ láti Cotonou ló ti ṣe co-host. Gabriel.
No, I don't know anything about that. Oh.
Okay, just give me a minute. I'm calling Gabriel. Gabriel is supposed to be online, our admin officer. Why he's not responding, I don't know. But just give me a minute. Either you or Mrs. Akinola. Gabriel should make you co-host now. Professor Aderomu.
Yes, ma'am.
Please try and share your slides. Let's see.
Okay.
Gabriel. Professor Aderomu.
I'm trying to share my slide now.
They say you are using two devices. That's why. Please disable one.
Galaxy.
Okay.
You can share now. The two accounts now are co-hosts now, so you can share your screen now, sir.
Okay, thank you, Gabriel. So the two accounts are online. Professor Aderomu,
yes,
your time starts now.
Okay, let me share my screen. Can you help me share my screen?
Rio.
I have my presentation, Professor Oseni.
Yes, but
then you have to make Ozeni co-host. Ozeni, can you quickly send to me?
You mean the slides?
Yes. Or
Okay.
Gabriel will make you co-host.
Okay, let me forward.
He's also a co-host, man.
Okay, Ozeni, you are a co-host, so please share the slides.
Okay, let me see now.
It means you will have to be saying next. I'll try and get Mrs.
Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, let's see now. Can you see my screen, please?
Yes, sir. Yes, Prof.
So it's up to Professor Aderomu now. I can do slide changing on his behalf.
Thank you, my
professor. It has to be in
Let
presentation mode. Can you put it on presentation mode?
Okay, let's get that done on F5. Okay, is it on presentation mode now?
Yes, Prof, it is.
Okay.
Yes, it is, Prof. Thank you for this opportunity. And I'm here to speak on the topic, what is winning proposals in science, engineering, technology, and innovation. Let me quickly also thank the other presenters because they've already mentioned some of the things I want to really discuss, but I will also touch some other areas. As we are aware that funding a research project go beyond ideas, and we need to convince panel of reviewers why the grant is so important to you and your team. And then you need to explain why your work is important and how it will be successful. And there are different ways of gaining favor with finding research funding committee. Number one is meeting deadlines and writing a convincing proposal. That's one of the ways of getting that money. So there are several things you ought to consider if you have to write a winning research proposal. The first one is for you to understand the donor. Who funds and support research? Why do foundations support research? And how do they work? What have they funded in the past? If possible, you can review membership of the panel and talk to previous or current members if possible. You can also talk to agency staff assigned to that committee. And then you read the advice offered by your funding agency. Example, that fund guideline is online. Before you put your pen down to write anything, you must understand the donor. That is key. So number two, before writing your proposal, you clarify the concepts and ideas. And you think big. And you should not avoid tunnel vision and do not rush. As rightly said by Professor Ripadi, when you are writing your concept note, it's a summary of the full proposal. So the essence of the concept note is just to summarize your full proposal. And that is why you can see TEFON is giving you just 3 weeks to submit your full proposal. The idea is that you have that proposal before, but you are just giving a summary of that for consideration. So you don't need to rush. Write your proposal of experts and non-experts. Please, I want to advise, but there are a lot of people that will advise your proposal. It may be experts, it may be non-experts. Before you write the first draft of your proposal, break it down into small points. You enumerate and discuss previous research that you carry out. Ensure that you have given a clear description of all your research methods that should be understandable and realistic. And when writing your proposal for a research project, ensure that the team you work with has the relevant expertise. Our experiences over the year is clear that most of the people just pick some of their friends together to implement the proposal. But meanwhile, they don't have the expertise to do the work because those people that will revise your proposal, they are expertise in your areas. So you still need to discuss possible limitations and possible challenges. And based on the fact I've already mentioned above, I want you to consider 2 golden rules. Number one, you ask a lot of people to help you improve your proposal, and then consider your the first page of your proposal as an advertisement of yourself and your team. Next. Yes. So let me go to the title. The title is very key, and it's more important than what you think. And it should be interesting. It should be precise and descriptive. It must be clear, very simple, understandable English. There should be no jargons, no overstatements, very brief summary of what is to be studied or researched. And I want to advise that you check and evaluate the title of existing funded proposals. That will really help you with the title. Executive summary is another one. The purpose is to describe every major aspect of the proposed research, but it's used in grant referral process. So non-primary reviewers may rely heavily on it to understand your proposal. So I want to advise you that you have to be complete and brief. Don't use more than the allocated space. For example, that one is requesting for 600 words. So don't go beyond 600 words. View the summary as 1-page advertisement. And I want to advise that you write it last so that it reflects the entire proposal. And I want to also advise that you spend time reviewing it. So it should include the brief background of the research, specific aims, unique features of the research, methodology to be to be used, expected results, impacts, duration, evaluation method, and then the cost implication of the proposal. So the next item is your research description. This is the core of the proposal and will be reviewed with care. Assessment of this section determine whether the proposal is recommended for funding or not. Well, length varies, but specify with some funders. So for example, your background and significance should contain the following. Statements, state the problems to be investigated, the rationale, current state of knowledge relevant to the proposal, and then potential contribution to knowledge through impact to the society. In fact, the third one is looking for those proposals that can impact the society. So it's more than an academic research. Output that will impact the society, what that's what is trying to look. General objective, as we are all aware. So some of our colleagues made a lot of mistakes. By the time you are writing your objective, you just see them listing all the specific objectives. You've already missed a lot of marks. Number one is for you to come up with a general objective of this project. And from the general objective, you now derive the specific objective before you can now go down to research questions and then detailed review and so on and so forth. So your specific objective must be related. And I want to say that objective, overall objective should be broad. And then you need to keep balance. It should be neither too few or too many. So you start from general to specific to give more details. Be brief and specific as possible. Each specific objective should consist of only one sentence. You see some of our colleagues will write objective with about 4 or 5 sentences. No, that is too long. Just one sentence that captures what you are trying to do. So most successful applications have 2 to 4 specific objectives. Please, maximum is 5. But if you are going beyond 5, it may really affect the final proposal. So the second aspect is, let's go to the next slide, sir. The research question at significance. So what specific research question are you trying to answer? And why is it significant? You have to really emphasize on these 2 areas for this section to be accepted by the reviewers. The literature review, as we all know, we must be able to review a lot of articles that relate to the problem we are trying to solve. We have to be very, very careful in this area because your proposal is still going to experts in your field. So you have to be very careful to ensure that you look at related articles to really buttress your point. Next. Yeah. So these are some of the questions that a reviewer may ask. Are these correct methods under your materials and method? Are the methods feasible? Are the investigators competent in the use of techniques? So I've listed a lot of things you need in the content. If it is the fieldwork, the study site, population, sample procedure, type of data, collection procedure, data verification and validation in the field or lab. And then you need to state the statistical methods or the processing software to be used under methodology. So the research plan, this is another area that you need to really focus on. The what and when of the proposal. And I want to advise you that you make an honest guess of how long it will take you to achieve a particular objective. Show that the objectives are attainable within the stated time frame. Accomplishment may be condition of releasing the next budget amount. You will remember that third one will release 60%, and if you are able to perform, then automatically release the remaining 30% and later 10%. So this is an example of Gantt chart that I can use to represent your timeline. So it's better you present your timeline in pictorial form so that this one will attract reviewers. So this is just an example, and I want to advise that we use this kind of method to showcase our timeline. Yes, I also round up. The budget. This is another key area that we need to look at. And the purpose is to present and justify all expenses required to achieve research objectives. So these are some of the items you need to include: salaries, equipment, consumables, travels, conferences, meetings, and publishing costs. There are common problems with budget. You are doing your budget in a rush. You are asking for round sums, and this indicates carelessness. Asking for the maximum is a bad attitude. Arithmetic mistake is also carelessness. So I'm suggesting that you develop your budget carefully, and then you need to be very honest and be precise. Next. References is very key too. We have to demonstrate credibility and familiarity with the subject. So detail and discuss papers opposing your idea. Cite important papers that are directly related, and citation must be very accurate. These are some of the common problems. You have too many references, too fake references, poorly placed references, and incorrect references. That may discourage some class to reject your proposal, or encourage your reviewers to reject your proposal. Next. The monitoring and evaluation is also very key. How we evaluate the success of the project? What are the factors contributed to its success or failures? What are the steps, or what step did you take when faced with problems? And that is what we call the risk management. So you need to really identify some of the steps you need to take when you face some risks. Then dissemination strategies. I listed a lot of ways we can disseminate: reports, publications, monographs, media, stakeholders meeting, conferences, and so on and so forth. Research team. You need to focus more on multidisciplinary, so interdisciplinary. I listen to Professor Olugadi is key now. So, and in fact, for third fund now, you have about 15 marks allotted to this. So try and ensure that you include relevant researchers in your group. Okay, so you need to let us know the research work to date, and also the previous grants you've attracted. And then the working research of a group. We want to see all these things under the research team. It's very, very key. Future funding is another area that we look at. Sustainability, how do you sustain the project beyond the periods of funding? So that's why we have to be looking for partnership, patents, and commercialization. And then you need to disclose proof of other funds, description of facilities, equipment available, and so on and so forth, because you need to really show that you have something on ground. And then you can also sustain the project beyond the funding period. So these are some of the things you have to look at under future funding, sustainability. Next. Yeah, impact is always very key. Long-term impact and short-term impact. We want to look at effects, benefits, contribution to economic, social, cultural, and other aspects of life of citizens and society. And it should be beyond contribution to academic research when you are looking for funds to support your research. So where I don't want to repeat this again, Professor Oluwaji has already captured this. These are some of the reasons why your proposals are always rejected by third fund. So we've already captured it to about 11 points. So the slide is available at any point in time. You can go through them and check whether your research is going to scale through or not. Next. I tried to provide some criteria for a good grant proposal. We have the major criteria as secondary criteria. I identify a lot of questions here. So by the time you finish your proposal, ask yourself those questions and see whether you can answer those questions. If your proposal can answer those questions, you are good to go. Next. So these are some of the usual pitfalls. Failure to match your goals with the foundation. Too many complex details and past achievements. Past achievements create credibility, but limit this. Procedural irregularities, promising too much, and unrealistically much is promised. These are some of the things that will affect your proposal. Once again, I want to thank you for listening. And a greeting from the DVC academics here, Professor Babalola. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for keeping to time. And I want to say that Your slides have been shared with the participants already.
Galaxy.
Mrs. Akinola, Professor Akinola is back online. She had network issues. Her slides have also been shared. We will continue. She will be around for questions. The next presentation is Professor Aino. I don't know. Is Professor Aino online? Professor Ozeni.
Yes, ma'am.
Have you seen Professor Aino online?
I'm trying to look at the gallery.
If she's not, maybe you should take it off. Take it up then. Questions for Professor Akinola. If Professor Akinola would like to go the remaining 2 minutes that was due her. So please, Professor Ozeni, kindly share your slides.
Why not? Can Professor Akinola round up our own presentation?
Then you need to make her the host. Professor Akinola, please. Make her the host, yes. We got up to expectation when we had those 4 points, quality, time, and things like that. Those 4 points. It was more English word. So you can go to the point where before this. Please scroll up. Yes, this was the slide where you stopped. While waiting, Professor Lugbade, if you can kindly share your slides with us, please, so that we would send to the participants too. Okay. And Professor Ozeni.
Yes, that's true. Through the group now.
Yes, I've sent to the group.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, now we can.
Okay, all right, sorry. Yes, I was saying that we need good timelines in form of a Gantt chart, which has been described to you by Professor Aderomu. And the scope should not be too broad. Yes, it has to be specific and within the context of the objectives that have been used for this study. Now my slide is not moving. I don't know, there are challenges here.
Wow.
My slide is not moving now. Anyway, I think we all have it on the
yes, we have it on the WhatsApp. So please just go on
to the WhatsApp. Yes. So the next slide is talking about the success. What we need to put in place to ensure success of our projects. We are the planning stage, which is proposals writing stage. The implementation must be done specifically by the PI and all the group, which means you must have intermittent meetings of all stakeholders, that is those who are contributing to obtaining data. And you must have records of this, because when TEDFund comes to inspect your work, they would like to see evidence that you've been having meetings. So, and then issues of monitoring and evaluation are key. And then closure in terms of publications and dissemination of findings. The success also depends on the area of study. That is, because you're on this in this workshop today, it means that TEDFund is interested in your study. So the funder, you have priority of the funder. So yours is to establish the fact that you can cope and you can do the study as described. So you must demonstrate good leadership. The PI must demonstrate good leadership and management of the study. Evidence of feasibility and good performance must be shown at every stage of the study. And the project should also influence and cause positive changes in attitude, practice, and in patient quality of life and quality of care, and then the environment and even policy making bodies. Excellent communication skills are important, and human good human resources and capability, this is your team, should be those who are capable of doing the work and not your friends, as been said before. And you must have functional materials available. In terms of equipment, it has been said before that you should ensure that you have enough resources on ground. And if you have to buy machines, make sure that you buy the correct one and not one that will give you challenges and delay your work. So realistic budget has been it's not been over, has been emphasized. And then sustainability plans should be in place as to way forward after the study. So I think that was what I had to present. Thank you very much. I wish everybody all the very best going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Auntie. That was beautiful. Concisely presented. Thank you very much. I'm going through the participants list to see if Professor Aino is online. Professor Ozeni, can you please come on?
Oh.
While we try and reach Professor Aino. Professor Lugbade, we are still expecting your slides.
Okay.
Ozeni, please.
Yes, I'm okay. Can you see my screen, please?
Yes, navigating Tetdund Nrf portal.
But I'm trying to go to full screen. It's not, okay. Anyway.
Your time starts now.
Okay, thank you. It's on full screen.
Yes.
All protocols duly observed. Good morning to all our resource persons and PIs and colleagues and friends. I'm to present on navigating the Tetdund Nrf portal for full proposal development. I'm going to rush through some of the slides and I'm going to emphasize the ones that are extremely pertinent. Thank you very much. We have about 5 key sections of the portal. You have the section that is on concept node development. Congratulations to all of us who have scaled this. So we're going to save time on that. The focus is on the full proposal development and all the 11 plates on the portal. And then there are extra plates for adding team members. There is a spreadsheet package on budget development. And then there's a bulletin board for engagement, long distance or short distance engagements, virtual engagements among the research team. Now, we are used to the entrance to the gateway, the login and the password. All these are familiar to veterans like many of us. And then we have the concept note. This is where the business of today starts, preparing the full proposal. And then we have, if you can see my cursor, this some 10 to 11 plates. And I'm sure we're all familiar with the contents. And this is the summary of the contents from the title, which was retained from this stage of the concept note, to the full title development, which Professor Lugbade and Professor Akeola have advised us not to change, which made sense. The full budget, which is a retention of the previous budget from the concept note, the introduction, aim and objectives, statement of the problem, conceptual framework, research outputs and outcomes, project impact, literature, research methodology, activities and outputs, time frame, key performance indicators, monitoring and evaluation mechanism, dissemination strategies. So we have up to 32 items to fill, and each of these is captured in a plate, in some space provided in the portal. And I deliberately highlighted item number 31, which is the preview. This is to make sure that all the contents are properly captured in the full proposal at the upload stage, and to make sure that no section is inadvertently cut out. Okay, so we have opportunity to load the research team members, their profile, names, institution, emails, etc. We're all used to this. Again, the opportunity to do this is highlighted. We also have the opportunity to view the full proposal And then there is page 9, which is actually budget justification with some very good marks in the scoring guide, where every item of the budget across all the categories, equipment, travel, personnel, dissemination, it is well justified, meaning you are providing the rationale, the reason for including those items in the budget in line with the research objectives and methodologies. Okay, now we have the details for the budgets too, as mentioned. The budget is a spreadsheet package, meaning that it will do automatic summation for the subsections and for the total. One point of note is to take care of some of the admonitions provided by the previous speakers. For example, there's a limit for personnel, and then within personnel, there's a limit for the PI's portion of the personnel, which is about 40% of the personnel. And then we also have the different apportionment for the different categories, including the ceiling or the maximum values. Incidentally, on the evaluation guide, there are points for conformity, meaning that there are automatic scores or points in your favor when you conform with the prescription for the budget. Again, all these are mentioned for the contents of the budget. And it is important that we preview the budget to make sure that all the items are well captured. And then the budget can be modified, can be edited. You have the options to delete previous items, or edit, or to edit or delete. All this we are familiar with, so we save time on this. Okay, now we have the opportunity to update the profile of the research team members. For example, the picture, profile picture, the names, the emails, the phone numbers. Incidentally, for many of the portals, whether TEDFund portal or IDRC portal, with the inclusion of a team member, there's an automatic mail generated by the portal sent to the team member. Okay, so we are aware of all this, adding team members. We quickly go to the bulletin board. Again, for those who have to interact over distance, being a national research fund, we're supposed to have colleagues and collaborators across the country, and then the bulletin board becomes very useful, meaning that we can have discussions within topics across all the topics. We can post messages, we can edit and make suggestions virtually using this bulletin board. Finally, we have the commitment form. This is towards the end of the presentation, towards the end of the submission. This is a downloadable form from TEDFund, and this commitment form must be signed by the team members, starting with the PI, and then we have the Vice Chancellor, and the stamp of the Vice Chancellor too. I deliberately divided the commitment form into 3 sections. You have the first section that is labeled 1, where all the team members with spaces up to 10 members, including the PI, where they can sign and maybe date. And then you have the second section on ethical clearance. The ones we did for 2020, this section 2 was not filled. And the reason being that when all of us are invited for the final defense, TEDFund provides a group of 4 ethical clearance forms, which will be duly processed here and then taken along. Then you have a section 3, which will be signed and stamped and dated by the Office of the Vice Chancellor. And the COR and the TEDFund office will process this centrally. So the directors will give further guidance on this. Now, this is all the penultimate slide, and it's about the most important slide. If we don't recall the previous content, let's recall the content of this slide. The first bullet says, shout out to the COR and TEDFund offices in case of any technical hitch. This is not to raise an alarm. The portal is a lot stable now, very, very stable compared to what happened at the beginning, where some of our colleagues were logged out midstream. They were logged out, and an automatic email was generated and sent to their emails, indicating that they have successfully submitted their NRF proposal when they have not done that. And then we thank the director of TEDFund office and the ED, COR, we had to mobilize. We got screenshot of the screens of those individuals, and through the director, TED Fund Office, we're able, and then through Professor Aderomu too, we're able to reach the NRF committee in Abuja, and those accounts were restored, and those individuals were able to properly do their submissions. Again, shout out, again, this is not to raise an alarm, this portal is much stable now. Commitment forms are to be processed centrally, as mentioned before, and then sections have word limit. This was echoed by Professor Lugbade and the previous presenter. The title has a limit of 20 words. The executive summary has a limit of about 600 words. Incidentally, a penalty move is that some of these tests, the extra tests are cut off, meaning that the section may not be very coherent on account of this. So we learn to stick by the guidelines. 3 important resources were mentioned by Professor Aderomu. The PIA user guide is a 19-page PDF, which contains all the details about the NRF portal navigation, from which the content of my presentation came. We have a second resource document, the proposal guidelines, which is 10-page PDF, which provides a step-by-step guide on the contents of each of the sections of the full proposal. Pages 7 to 10 of that marking guide has the marking guide, meaning what are discussed for the different sections of the proposal, including the budget. And of course, we have the full details of the researcher brief, which is a 69-page PDF with full details of the TED Fund NRF call, all the details that you need to know. So these are some of the quick points. We're all familiar with this on the portal. This was captured this morning around 7:35 a.m., meaning that we have precisely 6 days, 16 hours from 8 a.m. this morning and 17 minutes. What happened last session in 2020? We have to narrate this from the COR. One of the parties could not upload their proposal because they ran out of time. So this time became 00000, meaning end of exam time. And the meaning of that is, the implication of that is we need to be, can you hear me, please?
Yes, we can.
Yes, so
yes.
The implication of if we can have 24 to 48 hours ahead of time to round up all the submissions, this is not to cause any stamping. Each team has the prerogative to do whatever they deem fit, but we are just sharing the experiences that all the submissions must be diligently made and then soundly made following the guidelines and the suggestions of all the presenters. I want to round off my time now. I thank all members of the team, the resource persons, COR, TED Fund, Vice Chancellor, etc. Best of luck. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor. I clap on behalf of everybody. I'm not sure Mrs. Aino is online. So we apologize for that. I will try and get in touch with her. If we can still get her slides, we will share them on the WhatsApp platform, because I believe we have 1 or 2 things we can learn from her. But having said that, we will take questions briefly. All our resource persons are still available. And if you have questions, kindly indicate or type in the chat box. If you have questions, indicate by raising hand. I can't see. There are 79 participants here. Yes, Olusegun Michael.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
I'll see your hand, please.
Yes, please. I'd just like to check if we have a maximum number of words for the methodology aspect of the proposal.
The question, I don't know who that will go to. Is there a word limit for the methodology? Olusegun, please put down your hand. I can't see how to put it down here. Thank you. There is no word limit as far as I know. Professor Aderomu.
Thank you, ma'am. There's no word What limit?
Move closer to your microphone, please.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, I'm saying that I want to agree with you. The only specification from that one is the executive summary, which should not be more than 600 words. For the methodology, you can, in fact, you can write 20 or 30 pages. For the truth of the matter is that let all those things you are writing under methodology be relevant. In fact, what they'll be checking at is your objective. You want to look at method you want to use to achieve those objectives. So it's better you be more focused and write the relevant things. Yes. So there is no limit. But I want to advise that let us be focused and write the right
cogent points.
Cogent point under methodology.
Thank you, sir. Any more questions? Are the photographs of other co-researchers required? The answer is no. Are the photographs of other co-researchers required? The answer is no. Any other question? That's in the chat box. Any other question? If there are no questions, I would like to draw this discussion to a close.
Hello, ma. Hello, ma.
Yes. I didn't see.
Yes.
So we have two hands up because the DVC is waiting online to give her remarks and we can't keep her waiting. So we have Father Ray, Oluwadare Eson. Oluwadare Eson, is that Professor Eson?
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning. Your comment?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, please, at this stage, can one still add co-researchers?
That were not initially there.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Professor Olugbade, can you answer that?
Yes, I think so. If the individual will add value.
Okay, thank you.
The most important thing is that everybody included
is relevant.
Must have a role to play.
Thank you. Rachel, please.
Your phone now.
Use your phone. Rachel Obonose. Mary, please, your hand is seen. You are recognized. Rachel, Mary, please speak louder.
All right, ma. Please, ma, am I audible enough?
Yes, you are.
Yes.
Thank you so much, ma. I would like to thank you for putting this together and the opportunity to also interact with the elders. Now, number one is about travel. If, for example, the location of the research would take...
Please mute yourselves. Rachel Obonoze. Rachel Titus. Go on, Mary.
Thank you, ma. So if because of the virtue of the location where or locations that you would have to carry out the research within the country, and of course that necessitates traveling. So I know that they wouldn't want their money, especially outside the country.
You are not speaking very loud, madam.
Hello, ma. Hello, ma.
Okay, continue. Time is of the essence. Speak louder and fast.
Okay, ma. So what advice do you have about that? That is one. Number two, ma, if you have not had any relationship, I mean, maybe publication or research relationship previously with the new team that you are working with, but they are all relevant, does that do any harm, or is there any penalty for that?
What was your first question about traveling? There was something there about traveling.
Yes, ma. If the places you would carry out the research are outside your own immediate environment and that, but within the country. So, and you have to, incur cost on traveling and all that. Then does that also raise an eyebrow as far as spending?
Thank you. Thank you, Mary. Your questions are clear. You have two questions. Professor Aderomu and Professor Olugbade. Now, the two questions. If you have to travel out of your zone, which is expected, will the cost be raised, queried? And then if you also have to work, you did not have a previous relationship with your team members, how can that be handled? Quickly, sir.
Okay, can I try the first one?
Yes, sir.
I think that is why we talk about justification. Each budget line must be justified and must be consistent with the methodology. For instance, if you are carrying a study and the study site is outside OAU, it is obvious that you are going to incur costs. And that is understandable. As a matter of fact, the limit of 3%, the original intention was to discourage people from paying travel for international guests. You are permitted to have international participants, but they will be adding value by finding other sources of coming if they must come in, or taking your sample outside Nigeria. But if your study site is outside OAU, of course the cost will be accommodated and it can be justified. I think the emphasis is always on justification.
Thank you, sir.
Question, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe
go on.
The second question.
Go.
Okay, the second question. Again, it's just an overall assessment of how you assemble your team, and then what justify your own role as the PI in the first instance. If you are, remember when I was talking about the costly mistakes, when you are too dependent on others or outside people, then probably you have no right to be PI in the first instance. But that doesn't mean that you cannot assemble, you cannot include people outside the university. It must be multidisciplinary, but you must also justify your role as PI.
Thank you. Professor Aderomu, do you have any addition?
No, I quite agree with Professor Olugbade.
Okay, thank you.
Approved. But international travel is not approved.
Okay, thank you.
But you have to justify why you are traveling.
We take the question of Professor Adebajo. Professor Adebajo, put down your hand and state your question, sir.
Yes, thank you so much, ma'am. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
My question has to do with the issue of research assistant. How many are we allowed to accommodate? And learn that the rates change. What is the current rate? Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
What?
Can I reframe that question or
Please
add
go ahead.
to it? Is there a limit to the number of team members? Professor Akinola, if you are available.
No, sorry, my question has to do with the research assistant. Thank you.
I know. You have, it's on the chart, any maximum number to research assistants, and what is the new rate for this? Professor Akinola, if you have an answer, ma'am.
Yes, I can.
Okay,
I
please.
can try to answer the first part of that question, which is that there really is no limit to the number of research assistants. However, the numbers have to be justified again in terms of the job description and what they're going to do to add value to the study. But in terms of how much they're being paid, again, I think that is at the discretion of the PI and the available funds that you have. I'm not sure that there's a ceiling for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Professor Aderomu,
thank
you, addition?
Yes, thank you. There is no ceiling for that, but as a research assistant, you cannot do more than your PI. so there is no ceiling. It depends on the contribution of my research assistant.
Thank you, sir.
You cannot pay more than what the PI is collecting.
Is there a limit to the number of team members?
No limit, but they must be relevant. Just use relevant team.
Thank you, sir. Rachel Obonos. Rachel, you are recognized. Rachel, please put down your hand. And
thank you very much, ma'am.
Question.
Thank you very much, ma'am. We would like to know if institutional chart is supposed to be budgeted for? And if yes, how much is it supposed to be?
I didn't hear you.
Can you hear me, ma'am?
Yes, I can now. What's your first question?
Thank you, ma'am. We'd like to know if institutional charge should be budgeted for, and if yes, how much is it supposed to be in terms of percentage of the total budget? Okay. Then secondly, on the issue of the commitment form, I think that you place for the ethical clearance to be signed. So we need to know how to go about it, the ethical approval section.
Thank you very much.
Then,
Professor Hoseni's...
Please, I still have one more question.
Can't take all. Put it in the chat.
All right, ma'am. Thank
you. Professor Hoseni, kindly answer her question.
Yes.
What is the institutional charge? Should it be in the budget? That's our question.
Oh God, that's the admin charge now.
Yes.
Yes, usually, yeah, it has to be in the budget. And
how much is it?
Okay, that's the
it's
number
5%.
Is it 5 or 10?
It's 5%. 5%.
Okay, 5%. And OAU is waiting. That's the first thing. OAU is eagerly waiting for that. So
okay. And the second question about ethical form, you referred to it in your presentation.
Yes, what we processed in 2020. Oh God, no, that's not from me now. What we processed in 2020. Hello, can you hear me?
Please go on, sir.
Yes, so that section was not signed because there is a set of forms that comes from TEDFund. A set of 4 forms that were diligently processed after when individuals are invited for defense or thereabout. So that section was left out. We have for those who processed in 2020. So you have the names of the research team and their signatures. You have the name and signature and stamp of the Vice Chancellor.
Thank you, Professor Hoseni. Let me put what you have said in another word. The ethical section should be left blank for now. All PIs should get the team members to sign the commitment form and submit to the TEDFund office, who will get the VC signature. Am I correct, Professor Hoseni?
Very correct.
This should be done as soon as possible, if possible before Friday this week. The commitment fund on Thursday. The commitment fund form was circulated earlier, I think either yesterday or during the weekend on the platform. If you have not seen it, it's green like this. Go on the platform, get all your team members to sign. They can send you their electronic signatures, put them, and then send the completed one to TEDFund office by Thursday. TEDFund office will collate and send to the VC's office. We are appealing to PIs so that you don't wake us up in the night to say you want the VC signature. Nobody will attend to you. Please get the commitment form signed between today and tomorrow and turn to the TEDFund office. Professor Olarumola Felix, you are recognized.
Professor Bilade,
sorry, before you go on to the next person, may I just chip in something about consent, please? Ethical approval. At least for those in health sciences who need to have ethical approval for their study, may I suggest they start processing the institutional ethical approval and the national ethical approval if they're intending to do multi-center study while we process our proposal. So once they approve your proposal, then you can go up with the ethical approval with you, and then they'll show you that you're ready to go. And then you fill in the TEDFund documents as well. But the national and the local ethics boards should be applied to. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Please, can you tell us where they will start processing? Who do they contact?
In health sciences, we have a standard procedure which individuals use to either contact them in the teaching hospital or in the Institute of Public Health here in health sciences. So there are forms that they will collect and they will fill and submit.
Actually, Rachel Obonos is the program officer there. So if you can find her name on the platform, she's the one to contact. Thank you. Professor Obilade, I believe you want to chip in before I call Professor Lorumola. Professor Obilade.
Thank you very much. Hello?
Hello, please, go on.
Yeah, thank you very, very much. I just want to appeal to our people that when they communicate, when they submit their proposals and everything to TEDFund Abuja Online, they should send copies to us. Right now, we do not have even the total number of those whose proposals have been, whose brief have been accepted for the next stage. We don't have the total number. It makes it much easier for us to track your papers, to track your submissions, to follow up if there are problems, if we already have you on our database. Or if we don't, and we start running around in TEDFund office, it is harder and more difficult to get everything addressed, because we need to address things quickly with this NRF thing. So we would appreciate if you get back to the TEDFund office with your information. For instance, some people submitted to TEDFund office the brief without informing us, and their names are already in the accepted next level. We want them to please send copies of the brief to us, and when this next level is being submitted, please let's have the copies, because when you call us, we may not, or when issues arise at TEDFund Abuja, we may not be able to get in touch with you, but we'll have your document with us and we'll be able to address it. Thank you very much.
Madam, are you asking for a soft copy or a hard copy?
A soft copy, please.
Thank you. Professor Lorumola, you are recognized.
Yes.
Please share your email on the WhatsApp platform.
We will do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Professor Lorumola, you are recognized. Colleagues, Professor Lorumola, I can't see any other hand up. Professor Lorumola is not answering.
No, I'm answering now.
Okay, your question, please.
Yes. Although it's not written there, there is a limit for literature review. Should there not be a limit to the size of the review of literature in writing the final proposal? Do you hear me? Hello? Hello? Hello?
We can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay. My question.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I said although there is no number of words written on the literature review aspect, should there not be a limit to the size or the volume of literature review aspect in the final proposal?
I would like Professor Olubade to respond to that, please.
Yes, thank you. I think it's very simple. The literature cited must be relevant and must be current. And I want us to remember that we are all teachers, postgraduate teachers. The kind of expectation you will see in a thesis, or you will expect in a thesis or a publication, your literature must be current and relevant. So you don't have to start from chemical abstract 1903. I think that's all the rule about it. So we worry when the overall volume is too large, especially at the review team at TEDFund office. When the volume is unnecessarily large, we worry. So even when limits have not been stated, there are conditions, because you'll be scored poorly if you overload with relevant literature that are not correct.
Thank you. I agree 100% with that. Professor Bolaji.
Thank you very much. Mine is not a question, it's just to draw your attention to the fact that there are some questions and some useful information that are on the chat page. You may want to go through them so that we don't miss anything out. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there no limit to the volume of literature review? That has been answered. Should institutions charge be added to the budget? I think that has been answered. If you have people outside the university, are they allowed to be part of the research team? Yes. The answer is yes. Technical support on the budget, should it be support from the university or to be budgeted for? That question is not clear. Rachel, technical support, I think you already asked this on the budget.
Yeah, can you explain?
There is room for technical personnel. If that is your question, there is room for technical personnel and it can be budgeted for. The commitment form, see color or black and white? Professor Ozeni.
Yes, preferably colored.
Preferably colored.
Yes,
okay.
Yes, preferably colored.
In our team, we have someone designated as research assistant and another as mentee. Do these two sign commitment form?
No.
Should research assistant sign the commitment form?
No.
No.
No. So mentee and research assistant should not sign. So who should sign?
Co-researchers.
Only co-researchers. Yes. Thank you. At the instance of the HRUC chairman, the commitment form can be submitted to IPH office in health sciences for collation and her signature after this meeting. Can people from the industry be co-researchers?
Professor
Yes.
Taiwo. Professor Taiwo.
Yes, sir.
I think that last comment is a key one.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, so that, I mean, it should be, so that the lady may want to share her email address so that at least people can send e-copies of those forms to our office for collation.
Thank you, sir.
Professor Taiwo?
Yes, ma'am.
I think we should also let people on the chat what they have to pay because it is not free.
That's for the ethical thing.
Yes.
The ethical form, unless the rules have changed.
No, it hasn't. Rachel, do you want to tell us quickly?
Yes, ma'am.
About the ethical process.
Copies that we want to collect so we can sign and stamp.
I didn't get your point, ma'am.
I said that, ma'am, that we have copies that we need for the signature and stamping.
It is the hard copy you need. Please, can you, Rachel, can you post your number on the general WhatsApp platform for ethical issues so that people can begin to call you from today?
I'm not sure I know I'm not on that platform.
You are not on the WhatsApp. No problem. I have your number, Rachel.
It's not because she's a mentee on the team.
Okay. I'll post that. Having challenges with adding team members from private institutions, please contact Professor Ozeni.
There's a quick reply to that.
Okay.
By third fund rule, by my understanding, only the institutions that can participate are on the list of institutions on the pull down menu. And the private institutions are not there.
Information.
Okay.
Professor Aderomu, go ahead. Professor Aderomu.
Hello, ma'am. Hello?
Hello.
Hello?
Somebody's phone is making noise.
Hello, Professor.
I don't know why
I'm
I lost the
hearing
volume
you,
of this one.
Professor Bilade. Whose phone is on? Mrs. Professor Folabi, please, can you speak? Then Professor Bilade will speak later.
Yeah, my question.
We can't hear you.
Oh, God.
Our question has been answered, so maybe
Okay,
just move on.
then put down your hand. Put down your hand. Professor Bilade, please ask your question.
I just want to ask you a question. It's a clarification.
Yes, go ahead. And louder, please. I can't hear.
Can come in as partners in the research, but they cannot lead the research team, and the equipment and things
Professor
cannot.
Bilade, please start again. We lost you at some point.
Staff of private institutions can come in as partners in the research team, but they cannot lead the research team. And the equipment purchase cannot be domiciled in the private institutions. There is one other thing we must note, that if you are writing a proposal on behalf of this university, you are a staff of this university, your PI cannot come from another institution. Your PI must be from OAU. Thank you.
Thank you. Now it says, can federal polytechnic staff be part of the Mentee?
No, it's our staff. It is better for our staff. It's better for our own staff to be part of the Mentee. It's to build the capacity. I hope you know that polytechnics also have access to this NRF grant. So they can be mentoring their own staff. We are mentoring ours.
Another question, should the CVs and other details of mentees be included in the composition research team of the proposal?
I don't think it does any harm. I don't think it does any harm. But I think I would prefer Professor Aderomu to answer that question, but I don't think it does any harm.
I think Professor Aderomu.
What's the question, ma'am?
Can the CV of mentees be loaded?
The most important one is for the PI and the food searchers.
I can see the top of your head, not your face.
I'm saying that for the PI and food searchers are very important.
Okay.
But for the maybe research assistant, I'm not too sure it's too important.
Professor Aderomu, do we lose anything if we include their CVs?
No, you can include, no problem.
It's better
we
to
can
be
include
safe
their
than
CVs.
sorry.
It's better you include their CVs.
Okay, thank you very much. Can a PG student in OAU but a staff in Uni Ilorin be a mentee on the project?
And what?
A PG student in OAU but a staff in Uni Ilorin be a mentee on the project?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
No, PG, I don't think PG students are allowed to be on the projects.
They are allowed, sir. They are
the
allowed.
mentees.
They are like indirectly mentees.
They are the mentees.
Okay.
Hello, ma. Hello, sir.
Yes,
Professor Aderomu and Professor Taiwo.
Yes, please.
By the time we allow such things, we are going to end up having a lot of our own staff who are at the training level disenfranchised.
Okay.
Saw a lot of this when the first proposal was going on, and we had to make a conscious effort that when grants come into this university, as much as possible, we should use it to build the capacity of our own staff that we want to mentor and bring up to date with the latest in their own field. So if we have 30 approved and 15 of the mentees are from other institutions, it means that 15 staff of OAU have been effectively disenfranchised, especially if the other institution does not reciprocate by taking our own staff. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Information, ma.
Please, can I?
Information, ma.
Can I support the director, please?
Yes, please, Professor Olugbade.
Yes. I think the simple answer is that the third fund does not mind it, but OAU minds it. Because why should the university? Why should the university be recommending?
We are hearing you.
Excuse me. Why should the university be recommending and supporting with its resources mentorship of students of other institutions? Okay. So it is our own internal process that, as much as possible, we should use the facilities for capacity development of our university.
Thank you. That's a brilliant answer. Professor Aderomu, one last word. We are rounding up. Professor Aderomu.
I'm okay, ma.
Okay, thank you. Rachel, I can still see your hand up. Is it a quick one, fire on the mountain? Rachel? Her hand is down. So I want to
ask if chairman of professional groups can be part of the research group who we are working with at the state levels.
Professor Olugbade, did you hear that question?
What group?
Professional groups like the Association of Community Pharmacists of Nigeria and state chairman of the Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria, if they can be part of the research group, since we are working with them at the state levels.
I think, Professor Adebajo, type your question, please. I think the answer is, since we can have industrial partners, yes, we can have these people once we can justify their presence.
Let me emphasize.
Yes, Professor Olugbade.
Yes, let me emphasize how this works out. Just like we have experienced before, there is a period, or there may be a situation that even the leadership transfers from the original PI to another person under no circumstance. Can that responsibility be transferred to somebody who is not a confirmed staff of OAU? So
thank you, sir.
It's all about accountability. They can be, anybody can be partner in the project.
Let me also add something, sir, that the forms ultimately is signed by the Vice Chancellor of OAU. The responsibility for accountability of the funds released lies squarely on the university. If you see the letter, they say, "Dear Vice Chancellor," even for the letter of award, "Dear Vice Chancellor." And so everything that has to do with the funds, with the benefits, we should emphasize that of OAU. Because if the PI changes, if the PI retires or gets a new job and leaves, and we now have to transfer the responsibility for the research, and it is to somebody who is not in a university and has no interest in whatever happens ultimately, then the university could be in trouble. Please remember that if NRF funds are obtained and they are not retired and the research is not completed, the university, the whole university is blacklisted. It is happening in some areas of intervention, which means nobody from this university can access the NRF fund. Thank you.
Thank you. The question is, if the PG student has no affiliation, that means it's not working in any other institution, can that PG student still be a mentee on the list?
My question to that person is, are there no PG students who are under training in our university? Who are staff?
Thank you.
Are there none? Before we can do that, are there none? Because it is.
He says, I'm a lecturer 1 in OAU, but designated as research assistant on our team. Can I be upgraded to co-researcher? The answer is yes. That exhausts all the questions. I want to thank everybody. Professor Obilade, one last word. Then Professor Ozeni.
Just to say, as much as possible, ladies and gentlemen, let's keep within the timeline. Professor Gantt Chart has given us an idea. We do not really enjoy being woken up in the middle of the night with SOS and fire on the mountain messages. So let's keep to the timeline so that if corrections have to be made, those corrections will be made on time. I do not enjoy waking up Professor Oseni, Professor Taiwo, Professor Lugbade, Professor Akinola, Professor Adeshino, and every other person. And I also don't enjoy being woken up in the middle of the night. I wish all of us the very best. Thank you very much for putting this together.
Thank you, ma'am. Professor Oseni.
Yes,
quick
I
one.
joined Professor Obilade, Director, TED Fund Office, in wishing every research team the best of luck. Thank you.
Thank you. Our DVC, ma'am. Professor Babalola. Let us see your face. Yeah.
Good morning, our great moderator.
Good morning, ma'am.
We sincerely appreciate this session. It's been quite informative and educative, and I'm sure that we will learn one or two things. So on behalf of the management, I want to first of all appreciate our Vice Chancellor for approving of this. We appreciate him even for the inspiration, even during his welcome speech. I also like to appreciate all the facilitators, Professor Olubade. Thank you, sir, for pointing out all the common mistakes that we make in writing the full proposal. I appreciate Professor Nora Akinola too for guiding us on how to draft the concept notes. Thank you very much, ma'am. My very good brother besides me, Professor Aderomu, thanks for telling us on how to win proposal, for all the key points that you have mentioned to us. Professor Olabisi Ainotu, we appreciate you in absentia. Thanks for sending in your proposal, your paper, which will be shared to all participants. Professor Oseni, thanks so much for being there all the time. You have told us how to navigate the TED Fund and NRF portal. I appreciate the TED Fund office, ably led by Professor Bilaki. Thanks for the good job you are doing for the coordination. We appreciate you, ma. I appreciate the Central Office of Research, ably led by Professor Adeshino. Thank you, sir, for allowing us to tap out of your wealth of experience, for being available and for organizing this. Together with Professor Gantt Chart and Professor Oseni. Sincerely speaking, what we are doing for us, there is no way we can quantify it and we cannot pay you. But we know that God Almighty will reward you. And so our moderator, our multi-talented moderator, that's Professor Gantt Chart. Thanks so much, ma, because you even started as scheduled, and this thing is like to 11 now. So just for 2 hours, and we have gained a lot. We appreciate all that you have put into this. And why I say that you are multi-talented, because we didn't even know that you can anchor programs like this. And it's a talent. You know, when we talk about food science and technology, you are there. When we talk about linkages, you are there. Now to anchor programs, we have shown another talent. So we appreciate everybody. Now to all the participants, it's quite encouraging. We have more than 80 participants before. Now we are 78. And that is highly encouraging, because for you to be able to stay up to this time, that means we are learning a lot. And this program is useful. Last year we had 22 NRF approved for us by TED Fund. And we have more than 200 universities in Nigeria. That means we have more than 10%. And this time around, we have 56. According to the record given to me by Professor Obilade, we have 56. Out of these 56, 28 were approved. But from the record generally, we have 35 from Oau. And I want to emphasize what Professor Obilade said, that please let us have your record. 35 minus 26, that means we have like 9 that we don't have their records. And when you talk about institutional support, you will need to tell us, because you will soon need letters from us. So please let us harmonize the record we have generally, the one with Professor Oseni and the one at TED Fund office. Let's harmonize it and let's have that record. Already now we have 35. And those of us that have participated in this program, I don't want us to take all that we have been taught this morning lightly, because they will really, really help us. Last year, this activity was organized, and all the NRF concept notes, we got everything. So I think we should clap for ourselves and for the organizers. So what we have done this morning should not go in vain. We should apply all the points raised by all the facilitators and put them into what we are going to write now, so that our labor will not be in vain, so that we can get all the 35. We will not lose any one of them. So let's put in our best. And I also assure us that our facilitators, they are always ready. We cannot capture everything in 2 hours. If you still have questions, please go to them. I'm sure they easily, oblige us and answer us of any questions that we have. So thank you very much, everybody. We appreciate you, and we are looking forward to have 35. Another thing I want to say, please, is that last year, out of 22 that we got, education had 4. Please do the percentage. So we want to create a kind of competition amongst our faculties. So we know the faculty that will not get any. So please, our deans, I don't know whether any one of them is around. Our faculties too, we should be up to the tax. We should rise up to the tax and encourage our members. So this one that we have got, we will not lose any one of them. Let's work towards achieving all of them. So you are all appreciated. Thank you very much, and God bless.
Thank you, Ma. That was beautiful. I saw Professor Farinde online sometime. At least I saw Professor Farinde. That's Dean of Agric, and I believe he will carry, he's still online. His name is still here. He will carry the message to his faculty. I am not going to repeat what our DVC has ably said, just to say that there's a deadline for submitting your full proposal to the TED Fund office, which is tomorrow. We have our team of reviewers on ground, ready and willing. So please, the earlier you submit, the earlier, the more attention we can give. When you are submitting last minute, you will get last minute review. So please cooperate with us. We don't have to review it actually. It is just going the extra mile to ensure that the chances of success are higher. So let us utilize all available resources. Kindly submit your soft copy online tomorrow. And when corrections have been made, you effect them, return this corrected copy by email to TED Fund office and submit. Please let me say this, avoid last minute submission. When everybody is trying to submit last minute, the portal will be jammed. My own phone is off when I'm sleeping, so it doesn't matter whether you call me or not. It is off, I will not hear. And I hope others will not respond too, because we are working in good time. After revising your proposal, submit the latest, the morning of the deadline. Don't wait till the night, because the portal will be jam-packed and you will not wake up anybody to make exception or explanation for you. The platform is very active. If you have questions, please go online. You can call us now, we will answer. When it is fire on the mountain, we apologize for our absence. So make hay while the sun is shining. Again, in the name of my director or executive director.
Before you close, ma,
okay.
Please, I don't know whether all of us, all the participants, whether they use institutional email address. That is very, very important. So we should all use institutional email address. And I want to also stress that all the points that have been raised today applies to any other grants that we are writing. So not only for NRF, please take notes. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. So on that note, I want to say thank you. I mean, our participants, there were quite a few online by the time we joined. We had enough people to take off at the right time. Professor Lubade in particular, you joined even before I was able to log in. I want to say thank you to everybody. And to the staff in Interco, we say kudos to you. Gabriel in particular, kindly extend our appreciation to Mr. Adewara. On that note, we say all the best and God be with you. Have a nice day. Thank you.
Amen. Thank you too. Fantastic job.
Thank you. Thank you, Prof.